this is one of the most powerful tools that you can have in your business. However, it is the tool that is least taught by business coaches. So when I look at all of my clients who are making money the fastest, they all have one thing in common, and that is the fact that they are strategically planning every single week. And so I wanted to have an episode to really break down what is strategic planning, what does it look like, and what it can look like for you and your business. So let's first just start with defining strategic planning. So Harvard Business School Online defines strategic planning as an organization's process of defining its mission and strategy. This includes the allocation of resources to obtain goals and enforcing control mechanisms in order to implement the strategy. So that's a really fancy way of basically saying, what is your plan for this year? Like first off, what's your goal? Then what's your strategy? What are you going to do in order to meet your goal? And this sounds so basic, but I promise you there are so many entrepreneurs who have no idea what their goal is for this year, let alone how they're going to even achieve their goal. And what I think is so interesting and really a superpower for us as educators is we are already conditioned to strategic planning. Like, this is something that we do all the time as educators. So when people say that they feel stuck in their business, I'm like, you're probably not strategic planning. Because when you have a plan, you don't feel stuck. Now, you might have to make decisions of if you need to pivot or if you need to go another direction, but you're not stuck. So if you're stuck, that basically means you are operating a classroom with no lesson plan. This strategic planning component is so critically important because if you set a goal and you don't have structures or systems in place to actually monitor the goal, it's not a goal, it's a hope. It's a wish. Like, you're wishing something will happen. It's actually not a goal. The focus of the growing stage, because you did the level of experimenting that you need to do in the prior stage, you're clear on your service model, you're clear on your pricing. So by the time you get to your growing stage, your priorities we've now have got to master your marketing message in order to get really clear on how you can move from relying on referrals to generating leads, because now you need to attract your audience. So this is, and I want you to be really, really clear here, and I want you to catch what I'm putting down here. The growing stage is now when you start to flex that marketing muscle. You don't need to flex that marketing muscle so much in experimenting. It's the growing stage where now we're talking about, how do I convert strangers? Not in the experimenting stage. Because for a lot of people, because they start in the experimenting stage trying to convert strangers, that's why their business feels so hard, because they're picking the hardest way to convert clients. And the growing stage is when you actually do need to start getting clear on your marketing efforts, your marketing message, to actually start converting strangers. But that's not where you start. So let's actually jump into defining what marketing is. So I define marketing as the art of driving traffic to your business and or building awareness about your business. So oftentimes people confuse or they use interchangeably marketing and sales when they're actually two completely different arms of your business. Marketing is the act of driving attention to your business, of building awareness about your business, of generating traffic to your business. And then once you have that traffic, sales is the art of taking that traffic and then converting those leads, qualifying those leads, and converting them into clients. So let's first start with talking about what are some of the biggest mistakes that I see people making with marketing. The first mistake that I see people making with marketing is that they are overemphasizing marketing tactics versus a marketing strategy. So what I mean by marketing tactics, most of the time when I ask people, well, when you think of the word marketing, what comes to mind? People would say social media or email. They might say speaking. They would be naming tactics that generate traffic, but that's not actually the essence of marketing. Marketing actually is having a strategy, and your strategy might include social media, it might include email, it might include the tactic of speaking, but that within itself is not marketing. I like to think of marketing really as a campaign because that's where the strategy lives. So, a marketing campaign is an intentionally designed, organized steps that are centered around a particular objective in your business and defined outcomes. This year is the year of the expert. So folks who got into it for a get rich quick type of energy are now realizing that they got to put in some work, or they've made their quick money and they actually ain't in it for the long haul. That this is actually the time where those who've been in the game, who are still consistent, who are still riding it out because they know their ish, they're not new to this, they true to this, they are rising to the surface because people are starting to exit that really weren't experts in the first place. So this is why this year is so important for you to go full throttle in your business, because it's your time. It's the year of the expert, and it's time for you to show up. So given these dynamics that are at play and that are unique to 2024, well, what does this actually mean for your business? So there's a couple of strategies that I want to name, a couple of things that I want to point out for you that should be top of mind and are unique to this year, given where we've come in the past couple of years of business. So the first is that this is the time where you need to be leading with value. What do I mean by that? You might have heard some folks who are advising from an entrepreneurship standpoint, well, just tell people the what and sell the how. Meaning you keep close to your chest that how strategy, or how to actually solve a problem. And given that there were so many businesses that entered the marketplace, and the reality is a lot of people got burnt by people who were not experts. They were just out here to make a quick dollar. The marketplace is rightfully more skeptical than they have ever been before. And so because of that, you are going to have to prove really quickly that you're an expert. You're going to have to lead with your expertise. You're going to have to lead with value, which means you can no longer afford in your business to keep the how a secret. You are going to have to offer up some appetizers of what the how looks like. And if you really an expert, it ain't nothing to give up an appetizer, right? Because you got appetizers for days, right? So you're actually not losing by giving up some of your juice, by giving some of your secrets of how you navigate and solve the problem that you solve in your business, because giving up 2 to 3% actually means I still got over 90% that this well is too deep for me to just simply be giving everything just through an appetizer. I got so much more in store. So this is the time where you really need to be leading with value. And that means, what are some of the pieces in your business, whether it's content, whether it's offers, whether it's digital products, that you could be offering up to your audience out of the spirit of educating, out of the spirit of actually giving people a peek and a glimpse into the how? So first, if we're talking about leading with value, then you should audit your content. And what do I mean by that? I want you to take an opportunity and I want you to go through all the things that you've created in your business, whether it's workshops, social media lives, emails, content, video. I want you to audit everything to actually create a bank and a vault of all the things that you have in your business that you could be offering up to your audience. Because all of this content, whether it's written, whether it's audio, whether it's video form, could be things that you could be repurposing into adding value to your audience. You could be taking an email that you sent a year ago, 2 years ago, and run the playback. Because guess what? We don't remember yesterday, let alone what you emailed 2 years ago. So run that email back, right? If you did a virtual workshop last month or 6 months ago, you could take the replay of that virtual workshop and you could repackage it as a freebie or as a low-cost digital product, right? So for many of you, when you are a true expert, you have so much content at your fingertips that you honestly just forget how much content you have, that you already have things that you could be repackaging to provide value for your audience. Secondly, when we're talking about nurturing your audience, that means you really have to be dialed in to your marketing message and the pain points of your audience. So I would suggest, even if you've already done this, to do it again, to keep fresh and stay fresh in your business, to conduct 3 to 5 informational interviews with your target client. This could be someone who's heard about you. You could put an all call out through your email list, through social media. This could be people in your network, but engage in either one-on-one informational interviews or focus groups to really get proximate to your target client to hear how are they experiencing the problem that you're solving. What are the words that you're using? What are the pain points that they're experiencing? What are roadblocks that they're facing in attempting to solve the problem on your own? Because that intel is what's going to allow you to stay fresh and relevant with your marketing message, because your audience may not know that you can solve the problem that they're experiencing because you're not messaging your services in the right way. And this is the market where you have to be really clear on the value that you provide and the transformation that you provide to your audience, not just how long, how many weeks, how many coaching sessions, how many PD services in the PD package. We're not leading with features. We have to lead with the benefits and transformation. And this is the perfect opportunity to get intel from your target client on what that sounds like to incorporate it into your marketing message. So let me give you a couple of examples of some potential marketing campaigns. And now you want to lean into, as much as possible, your own creativity. You want to lean into what is going to be attractive and gain the attention of your audience. So these are just pretty basic examples, but the more fun you can have with it, the more effective your campaign is going to be. So if you are speaking at a conference, you could have a marketing campaign with the objective of building awareness around the fact that you're speaking at a conference, right? So the goal isn't necessarily revenue. The goal is, I want to continue to establish myself as an authority and as an expert in this space. So I want to build awareness around the fact that I'm speaking at this really well-known conference. So your marketing campaign could look like, leading up to the conference, you have some strategic content that's announcing that you're a speaker. You could have some BTS, behind the scenes content, of you preparing your slides, of you practicing, of you getting ready, of you booking your travel, of you packing to get ready to go to the conference. And then when the actual conference happens, you could send an email to your email list and give a recap of, this is what's getting ready to happen for today. And here's some key points from my presentation, or here's what I'm looking forward to. And then you could go live while you're actually at the conference, before or after, and actually debrief how the experience went. And then if you have a freebie or a resource that you gave out to the audience, the follow-up to the keynote might be actually sending that freebie to your email list. So even though they weren't there, they still have the benefit and opportunity of still gleaning the wisdom that you gave out at the conference. So that's a really great example of a marketing campaign that just builds awareness, right? And the impact of that is, it's establishing you as an expert, because people don't know things you don't tell them. Right? You got to own your narrative. And so if you were at a conference, this is a great way to share your narrative of the fact that someone saw you as an expert enough to ask you of your time to share your expertise with an audience. And you could build a whole marketing campaign around that. Another example of a marketing campaign could be around a theme or month or week or holiday that is relevant to your audience. So for example, my audience is Black educators. A time of the year that's really special in education is Teacher Appreciation Week. So you could structure a whole campaign around Teacher Appreciation Week, where you have, leading up to Teacher Appreciation Week, you could be counting down until Teacher Appreciation Week, and you could be posting questions around the impact that teachers have had in the lives of your audience. You could tell people to share stories of different teachers. You could have people share why teachers are so important as a way to engage your audience. So the objective for this campaign might be awareness, but also engagement. And then when Teacher Appreciation comes, you might decide to do giveaways, where you do 5 days of giveaways during Teacher Appreciation Week. And maybe the call to action on social media is comment or tag someone below in order to be entered into the giveaway. And so the impact of this type of campaign is, again, it's building awareness, because everyone who gets tagged is now seeing your content, is now someone who's being introduced to you, but also you're acknowledging and appreciating teachers. And then maybe on the back end of Teacher Appreciation Week, you might decide to tell your story as a teacher, as an educator, educator, or you might decide to have students share stories and their perspective around teachers that have impacted their lives. So that's just kind of a different example that I wanted to offer up, because again, campaigns don't always have to have the goal of generating money, but they could have other goals like engagement or awareness, and those are still really effective campaigns. And then I'll just give you one last example of a campaign that does have the objective of generating revenue. So if you're doing a webinar, you need to have a marketing campaign, right? So let's say you pick your date for your webinar and you decide that the objective is to generate revenue. And then 6 to 8 weeks prior to the webinar, you decide to start actually dropping some teaser content. And so given whatever the topic is of the webinar, you're strategically dropping content related to that same topic to just get people's interest piqued. And then 2 to 3 weeks prior to the webinar, you're actually now starting to push out information around registering for the webinar. You're pushing it out to social media. You're pushing it out to your email list. You're going live to talk about how excited you are with the webinar. You might decide to do a live series with different people to talk more about the problem that you're going to be addressing during the webinar. You could write an article. You could write a blog about the topic that, again, you're going to be diving in deeper to in your webinar. And at the end of that blog is the call to action to actually register. And then at the webinar, you have a call to action of actually taking the offer, right? So you present this call to action of whatever your offer is. You identify a date by which folks need to take action. And then following the webinar, you're actually following up with that call to action on whatever that timeline is that you've identified for that particular offer. And then once that campaign has concluded, we're looking at all of the data that we said we wanted to track a part of that campaign to actually measure its effectiveness. Did you get the number of folks who needed to register in order to hit your goal? If not, then let's look back at the other pieces of data to be able to see, where did we have a leak in our process? Did we just not get enough people to look at the page? Did we not get enough people to actually click on the button? Did our email open rate, it wasn't as solid as it could have been? Now you have the opportunity to kind of do an autopsy of your marketing campaign to really analyze the effectiveness of what went really well so you can run the play again, or what you want to tweak for next time.